Hello and welcome to Wicklow Good News with me, Jillian Godsil. Today I'm delighted to welcome to the show Gary McLoughlin, one of the co-founders of the Glendalough Distillery. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Morning, Jillian. I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, all is good.
Good. I was reading a bit about you, and David Metcalf back in 2017 said he knows a great deal about drink. But he said it not in an alcoholic way. He did sort of clarify that comment, because back in was it 213 you set up Ireland's, I think it was Ireland's first craft distillery, certainly of the modern. I mean, we used to have them before, obviously, but Ireland's first craft distillery was set up.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually 2011 is when the company started. We started distilling them back in 2013, 2014. So bunch of five guys, five friends, all working in and around the drinks industry, all working busy city jobs, and decided to follow our passion, which was spirits and drinks, and head off into the Wicklow Mountains, back to where many of us were from. So follow our dream in starting something ourselves. We all had decent enough jobs, as I said, really busy, sort of reaching burnout, and decided to go for it, and we did. So one by one left our day jobs, and as I said, up into the Wicklow Hills, and I suppose we were all five of us, all very much sort of outdoors enthusiasts. Big into animals and dogs. We love dogs and love going on walks, kayaking, climbing mountains and that type of stuff. So sort of rustic men at heart. So yeah, there was only one place we were going to go, and that was Wicklow. As I said, 3 to 5 lads are from Wicklow. The two of us were from the Dublin side of Wicklow, but it's where we always gravitated to as kids. Always brought to Glendalough for a Sunday walk, or if family or ever over. So yeah, it was sort of a bit of a no-brainer for us, and we followed our dream, and started making poitin first of all, and then
is poitin legal? It is
legal since 1996.
You have to get a license?
I think it is. No, it is since 1996. Like without going, I'm going to get this date wrong. 1661, I think. By the British, and then came, so obviously it has a bit of a dodgy, had a bit of a dodgy name, but yeah, so we premiumised poitin, I know, very legal, great drink to mix with, quite a obviously iconic Irish drink, and we sell a lot of it in the airport when it's open, and yeah, it's one of those sort of drinks that.
Well, everybody likes to purchase the far water, the local far water, whether it's ouzo or whatever, or the brandy, French brandy.
Exactly.
And what was interesting, going back to, you said, the craft industry, was because certainly this century and most of last century, spirits were dominated by the big names, of which you and your four co-founders worked for. But prior to that, there used to be distilleries in nearly every townland up and down the country. So it was something, you were harking back to a more ancient tradition.
Very much so, and that was like, as you said, we were working for some big brands and got to know the industry and the history, I suppose, very well. And as you said, back in the day, reverse 100, 200 years, and pretty much every town in Ireland would have its own distillery. Thousands of distilleries at one stage, and then fast forward to 2011 when we started, 3 distilleries making every sort of brand of Irish whiskey. So, and they were big multinational companies, global multinational companies. So yeah, I suppose we had a yearning to do something ourselves, paying absolute honor and respect to what had gone past, but then also thinking about the future and how you can innovate and how you can do things a little bit differently and bring the industry forward. So yeah, we were one of the first to do that, and it's great. There's many more. If you look at
there's huge numbers now
in Ireland now, and that's less than 10 years ago. It was January 2011 when we started, and that's just less than 10 years ago. And now there's almost 40 different distilleries making gin, and some of them making whiskey, and so it's great. It's brilliant, and some of those big brands that we mentioned earlier paved the way for the likes of ourselves to do this. So it's a real success story from an Irish perspective, from a country perspective. But
and you took your inspiration from not only Glendalough, obviously Glendalough Distillery, but St. Kevin and the bird in one hand. Explain the significance of that, please.
Yeah, so The old St. Kevin story. There's a lot of stories about St. Kevin, but this is the one we love the best. I suppose very quickly, he was supposed to be the next king of Leinster back in the day. He didn't want to be a king. He followed his dream. He took to the mountains, off he went, and he found this beautiful glacial valley, which is Glendalough. And a bit like ourselves, you know, we were the same. We were sort of, don't want to really be doing what we're doing. Let's go and follow our dream, which was yeah, sort of mirrored. One of the reasons he's on our bottle and on everything. But the story with him was his hands in the air and the bird. So legend has it, and we all love a good old legend, a good old story. The legend has it, there he was praying one day with hands raised to heaven, as you do, and in the lake, in the upper lake in Glendalough, and a bird, blackbird, mistook him for a tree, landed in his hand, laid 3 eggs, as they do, and he was like, ooh, taking this as a challenge, this is testing my character. So he decided he'd stand there for 13 days and 13 nights, or until the birds
fledged,
until the eggs hatched and fledged.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh my God, this guy, wow. Now, fable story, but it's great, and just the sort of the stoicness and the you know, just that will, that drive, that grit we loved so much that we put them on our bottle to remind us as well that it's not always, if you do things the easy way, they don't normally turn out that well. But if you put the effort in and you really go after it and you really put the hard yards in, normally things turn out that bit better, and that's reflected in our drinks. So you look at our gin. I know you talked to Geraldine a while ago, Geraldine Cavan, our forager. So we put botanicals from the hills and valleys and beaches and all over Wicklow. Pick botanicals daily during foraging season, which is sort of March to October. And daily, we pick those botanicals, we bring them back to our distillery, we put them in the stills fresh so to capture their beautiful flavors, and distill with them the next day. So that's a difficult job, you know, to make a gin, a bottle of gin, this guy here, and that has botanicals from, sorry, I know we're on the radio, but I'm looking at a bottle of our gin here. This is botanicals from all 4 seasons in it. So that's not easy. That takes a bit of effort, you know.
Were you the first?
So yeah.
Gary, were you the first distillery to make seasonal gins?
We were indeed, and some others are making it now, and sure, it isn't that great, you know. Obviously, it's a good idea. So yeah, started off with a summer gin in 2014, and then the following year and every year since, we've made spring, summer, autumn, winter gins.
Have you compared the flavor, because you do it fresh? Is each spring gin, is it different? You're doing it now a number of years. Do you taste them?
Yeah,
is there a difference in the botanicals that are harvested, or is it fairly uniform?
It's definitely, the seasonal ones can vary because it depends on the season. Might be wet, might be hot, might be freezing. So the botanicals will change.
So that would be really good testing to have. How many years are you doing the seasonal botanicals?
2014. So there's been a summer gin since 2014.
Wow. So that's 4 years you can compare the
6 years now. 6 years.
Sorry,
my point of view.
Yes, or 2020. Yes.
I know a few bartenders who have each season, and they do that. So yeah, there'll be subtle differences, but like what Geraldine picks, what we picked, put into the pots to make the gin, they're the same ingredients, but those ingredients may change. As I said, they might be more bountiful one year, like, you know, elderflower is really important in botanical for our summer gin, but also our wild botanical gin, which is our best-selling gin. So if it's not hot or if it's not sunny, they won't be as flavoursome. You know, the pollen won't be there, the oils won't be as rich. So it doesn't happen that much, but you will get a little bit of variety from the season. But we did the season for about 2.5 years, and we're still doing them, seasonal gins. But then we decided, look, let's also do a gin from all 4 seasons, and that's the one that's really taken off.
So that's Wicklow, the Wicklow seasons, yeah. That's
the Wicklow seasons, yeah. But it comes from all 4 seasons, so there's literally botanicals in there from spring, summer, autumn, winter, and it's our seasonal gins are a little bit more expensive. They're about €45, where these are €35. The wild botanical gins, €35, and it's seasonal. Pretty much is in Ireland only. A little bit of in England, you can buy it online and stuff like that, but they don't really travel that well just because we can't make as much of them. But the wild botanical gins, the one that we use, botanicals from all 4 seasons, are in wild botanical gins in 42 countries globally now, and it's our best-selling gin by far. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey.
Yeah. Could I ask a question with the gins? And I haven't tasted them, so apologies for asking this question without foreknowledge. What do you put into them then? I mean, I would be a gin and tonic drinker, the old-fashioned, slice of lime or lemon. But these sound so nice. Do you just have them like a martini, but without the vermouth? Just have them straight.
They make a beautiful martini, and you will really taste the differences in the seasonals. Yeah, no,
although really
good.
To say to the listeners, everyone must drink responsibly.
Very responsibly.
Before we start avowing
100%.
our undying desire to have a martini.
In Ireland, 90-something% of our gins are drunk with a tonic. You know, that's sort of the go-to, and a nice premium tonic. And our wild botanical gin is fantastic with orange and rosemary, or some people prefer with pink grapefruit and was it pink grapefruit and not thyme? Oh, it'll come to me in a second.
We'll figure it out. We'll put it in the notes.
We'll figure out. I can see it. I can see the botanicals. It's just not come to my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's fantastic straight from the gin and tonic. But it also makes, as I said, lovely martini, lovely bee's knees. There's countless cocktails. You can see them on our YouTube channel. You can see them on our Facebook and our online our website and stuff like that. Lots of different cocktails. And it's globally, so in North America, for example,
so nice.
Their cocktails. So a lot of
yeah, it just sounds so nice. Seems almost a shame to add anything to it. You know, maybe it sounds almost a shame. Question for you then.
Geraldine won't add anything to it. So our forager and our distillers, they might add a bit of soda water or a bit of water because the botanicals and the flavors just really come through.
Yeah.
And even if you are having a gin and tonic with our gin, I'd suggest definitely tasting it first neat.
Oh.
And then maybe put a little bit of tonic, and then find your equilibrium. You know, find where it works for you. But
I know I'm having martinis. Sorry. So I have another question for you.
Rosemary.
Okay, well done. Okay. Another question for you. Going back to the whiskey, right? Whiskey in Ireland is spelled with the H and Scotland without. Where was whiskey first distilled?
So it's the E. So the E. Scotland doesn't have the E, and Ireland does have the E. So
the E,
in the whiskey. So we taught the Scots how to make whiskey. So they'll fight that.
They agree.
That, but yeah, no, they won't. Of course. But there's a very famous still called the coffee still, and it's not coffee as in what you drink. It's COFFEY. It's a guy called Aeneas Coffey, an Irish guy, a tax collector. He used to collect taxes from the distilleries in the towns all around Ireland we talked about earlier. And he actually came up with a new way of distilling, and much quicker, much more efficient, and coffee still. He brought it to the Irish distilleries back in the day, and they were like, no, we're traditionalists, we won't change. Then he brought it to the Scotch, and they were like, that's a great idea, let's give it a go. And suddenly, boom, they could make whiskey a hell of a lot quicker and in bigger quantities. That's not the only reason. There's also political reasons, wars of independence.
How come the spelling deviated? And yes, it's the E, not the H. I was getting mixed up there. So whiskey with the name. What's that about?
It's just colloquialism. It's just the how they sort of set themselves apart.
So
and it's funny, in some places you'll find an E, in some places you won't, like in the States and Canada and stuff like that.
Let me ask you then about your potching. Do you use botanicals in your potching?
No, our potching is pretty much it's a young, unaged single malt whiskey. So that's pretty much what potching is. It's just unaged, so that's why it's clear. Whiskey picks up its color from the barrels that it goes into. So as it's in the barrels for over 3 years, goes in and out of the wood. The wood is normally charred, and it has had something like sherry, Oloroso, or Madeira, or bourbon in it beforehand. So it picks up those notes and those colors, and that's how whiskey turns into the color of whiskey. Potching is unaged, so don't put it in anything, and that's why it's as you refer to, it's fire water. So it is more fiery. It is less. It's not picking up any secondary spirits, as I said, bourbon or whatever. So yes, that's pretty much what it is. Now, I could go on and on about potching. It can be made from various things. That's one way of making it, from single malt. Okay. It can be made from single malt and malted barley, I should have said. So it's can be made from malted barley, it can be made from unmalted barley, it can be made from heather, it can be made from potatoes.
Potatoes, I was going to say, back in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah. back in the day. Yeah, but
You're,
poitin was being made way before potatoes were introduced to Ireland. So the
okay.
potato thing was very much after the fact. So yeah,
That's true. So you're in 42 countries around the world now. You're a thriving business. I mean, you've grown 50%. And I don't know your growth year on year. It's how many bottles? I mean, and it's all from the Glendalough Distillery.
all from Glendalough Distillery. Yeah. No, there's we have been successful. As I said, when people come together and they all have the same goal in mind, you can really do anything. And I just truly believe in that. So yeah, a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, but it's very much enjoyable. We all love what we do, and yeah, drive, passion will get you everywhere. So and then making the right contacts and all that, and getting good distribution is very important. And having a really good brand, a brand that people want to look at and say, oh, that's interesting, pick it off the shelf. Obviously, that's very important too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've been successful and we continue to be. We've opened up new countries. We're about to go into Croatia, for example. We haven't been there before. So that's 43, I think. So yeah, most of our business though will be coming from North America, so particularly the US. But US, Canada, Ireland will be our three biggest. Travel retail is really big as well, and then yeah, literally every corner of the world, from South Africa to New Zealand.
Well, I have to say, fair play, because I say you were the first, but all of your other four co-founders left the day jobs, basically took that leap of faith. The net did appear, and I have to commend you for two things. I say for opening the first craft distillery and getting the ball rolling, and also I do like your comments when you say it's great news for everybody. So it's not me. It's the abundance principle, which is very heartening.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And
you know what? Like, I'm sorry for cutting this, but I'm delighted, genuinely, like those 40 distilleries. It's a big world. Lots of 90, 100 distilleries. There's plenty of room for us all. And no matter where I travel around the world, and I've got to luckily travel in a lot of places, I love seeing other brands, other Irish whiskey brands on the shelves, because it's just the category's growing, and that's all great. Sorry, I could have.
No, I don't. And the second thing I wanted to commend you for, well, your outlook, I think, is very, very welcome. Thank you. And the second thing I want to commend you for was inventing the seasonal gin with the botanicals. That is such a unique thing, and hopefully you're right, because you've said already that some other companies are copying. Wouldn't it be lovely to have a gin from every county in the country?
Yeah,
because we're all different.
And you know what? A lot of the gins out there, and some fantastic cracking gins, they are using their botanicals. Like, I won't name names, but I was on holidays down the south the country a couple of weeks ago, did the distillery tour, and I didn't realise they used botanicals from around the Kerry region. And oh wow, it was brilliant. It just brings a whole new, terroir and just interesting, because it's unique. It's from a place. It's from County Wicklow. It's from County Kerry. It's from County Leitrim. You know what I mean? So it's brilliant, and more of it.
Yeah, no, well done. Well, I think congratulations. It's been a great success story, continues to be. And if people want to find out more, it's the Glendalough Distillery.ie, am I right? .com. .com.
Yeah.
And can you purchase online, or do they purchase from an off license?
You can indeed. You can purchase online. If this goes out before the August Bank Holiday weekend, we're on sale in Tesco at the moment. So our wild gin and our lovely rose gin, which we didn't talk about at all, but rose gin, fantastic, lovely story behind that if we have time, but if not, don't worry about it. So they're both €30 at the moment. They're normally 39, 40 euros in Tesco, and also in O'Brien's, both our two gins and our double barrel whiskey is also on sale for €30 until the end of the bank holiday. So yeah, you can pretty much get it in the usual suspects, Tesco, Super Value, O'Brien's, and then all the great independents like Celtic Whiskey Store and James Fox's and Black Rock Cellar.
Okay, you have 2 minutes to tell me the rose gin story.
Rose gin story. Okay.
Behind.
So a quick one. So our distiller, Rowdy is his name. His mom unfortunately passed away about a couple of months before he was started to distill. Anyway, his brother was getting married, and they decided, a couple of months later, his brother was getting married, and they decided, let's make a gin for mom. She loved her roses. Her name was Rose. So they decided to take roses from her garden, put them in the pot when we were distilling with other botanicals as well, and make a gin for his brother's wedding that they could also literally all toast Rose at the wedding. So that's what they did. And the smell when it was being made was just literally blew us all away. It was just like a rose garden. And then the taste. So a lot of pink gins out there, they're quite sweet and sickly. This
horrible.
Beautifully balanced with lovely roses and that sort of Turkish delight flavor, which is rose oil. So it was just for the wedding, but we went, oh, we have to do something with this. So we decided to bottle it, and now it's nearly overtaken wild gin in terms of popularity, and it's in the 42 countries now as well. And it's there's a lovely backstory to it.
That's a very good story. Tell me, is there any particular type of rose that you use?
There's 3 roses. There's a wild Wicklow rose, which is very hard to get, for those lovely wild roses you get out in the mountains, a damask rose, and a heritage rose. The heritage roses are like those big old roses. And there's quite a few different varieties of those, but they're the 3 categories. And we distill with them in the pot. We also have these lovely vapor trays, so when the vapors are coming up, it picks up the lovely flavors of the rose petals. And then afterwards, we dip big bags full of pink and red roses into the liquids to actually give it its lovely pink hue. So lots of roses go into it.
That is brilliant. I'm glad we shared that story, because that is amazing. And I say, I have had some other pink gins and I've been rather unimpressed because they taste too, well, they don't taste, anyway, that sounds amazing. I now know what I'm buying. I'm going to have a pink gin martini. Is that sounds lovely.
There you go. It is lovely in a martini. It's fantastic. Or again, with a light straight tonic, lime and fresh mint.
Yes. And as we say, we advise all our listeners to be drink aware and drink responsibly, obviously, especially in the lockdown. So thank you so much indeed for your time, Gary. It's lovely to hear a passion story that continues, and the success continues. That's a really positive. And I just love what you're doing, founding Ireland's first craft distillery, and also then the first seasonal gin. So amazing. You'll be in them a Wikipedia with all these things beside you. So congratulations again, Gary. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Jillian.
Thank you. That was Gary McLoughlin, co-founder of the Glendalough Distillery. That's all for this show. Thank you very much. Thank you to Marlena Murphy producing, Gavin Dowd on sound. And until next time, be good, be safe, and keep on helping others.